Hello everybody, and do I have a great video for you today. All of those other mac and cheese recipes can get out of the way because we'll be cooking a spicy and smoky bacon mac and cheese in the cast iron that provides this perfect balance of flavors. Before we start the cooking, these are the three main things that I look for when I'm eating mac and cheese. One is a nice crust on top. Two is gonna be well-cooked pasta. And then three, and most importantly, is the cheese sauce to pasta ratio. We want it nice and creamy. So I'll show you my tips on how I try to achieve that throughout the video. So let's get cooking.
All right, before we get into it, just get a pot of water boiling, throw in a nice handful of salt, make sure our pasta is well seasoned, throw in 10 ounces of medium shells in, and let's talk about our roux. So any well-deserving cheese sauce, in my opinion, is going to start with a roux, which is equal parts fat and flour. So you just melt it down and toss in your flour. I'm using 45 grams of each. And you really just want to create this wet sand consistency. And then that is when you know when you pour in your milk. And then I'm pouring in 2 cups of 2% milk. You can use whole if you wanted. And then just stirring this with a whisk, making sure everything's really well combined. And then we're going to cook this down on kind of medium heat. And as we cook it, it's going to thicken up and thicken up. And then once it's to kind of I'd say like a heavy cream kind of texture, you see it kind of sticking on the sides of the pans. That's when we want to come in with our cheese. And I'm using 1 cup of a smoked cheddar and 1 cup Colby Jack. I think smoked cheese is the way to go for mac and cheese. It just tastes so much better than a standard cheddar would. And then we're just going to make sure the cheese is completely melted. We've got a nice drippy consistency, kind of like a cheese whiz. And then now we're going to come in with our spice. So I'm using Harissa Paste, which is used in Middle Eastern cuisines. It's a paste made out of chilies, and it is so flavorful. You can pick it up at a lot of grocery stores nowadays in like the international section. And then at this point, the cheese sauce is basically done. All I'm doing now is flavoring it. So I'm adding a little bit more Harissa Paste. I like my stuff pretty spicy, so I'm just adding in a little spoonful at a time, throwing in some salt, throwing in some pepper, making sure I'm tasting until I get that taste that I want. So you just see me add a little bit more salt, add a little more harissa, and then I'm just going to take one final taste test, and then now we're ready to mix. And then really important here, I want to point out 2 things. So if you look to the top left corner of the screen, you can see that I actually undercooked this pasta. I cooked it for 7 minutes when the box said to do 10 to 11. And that's because the pasta is going to continue to cook in the oven. That's why I want to undercook it, so when it comes out, it's perfectly al dente. And then the next thing I want to point out is the cheese sauce to pasta ratio. So you can see right now this is really creamy, and some people may even say, this is too soupy. What are you talking about? But when we put it in the oven, that's going to cook up and that extra cheese liquid will be absorbed. So you want to definitely have it very creamy. All right, let's finish preparing this thing and get it in the oven. The bacon grease just solidify on the pan from earlier. That's going to be used in our topping in order to provide the grease for our mac and cheese and also provide some extra flavor. And then speaking of that topping, all I did was throw in those 2 pieces of bacon, a serrano, and half a cup of breadcrumbs. Just quickly gave it a pulse, and this is going to give us that perfect crust that we're looking for. The fat from the butter will crispen up and really give us a nice topping for our mac and cheese. And then just to finish this out, I'm going to spread it evenly with that extra cheese, Make sure we get a nice spread on the top so it crisps up evenly. And then as a final flourish, I'm going to add a Serrano quartered. And we're going to throw this in the oven at 450 degrees for 10 minutes. And then we will see our masterpiece right now. So that was just 10 minutes in the oven. We've got that nice crispy top from the bacon. We've got those Serranos that are a little bit blistered. I'm going to take a scoop into this and plate it up, and then we'll do a taste test. And you're going to hear that little crispy bits as the spoon go in, but it's nice and creamy underneath. Nothing sticking, but then we got caramelization from the cheese on top. Just a lovely, lovely mac and cheese. So I'm going to plate some up, and then let's give it a taste test.
All right, so let's give this a taste test. My mouth is absolutely watering right now. So right off the bat, I will say pasta perfectly cooked. You know how we took it off before it was actually done and let it finish in the oven? The pasta is absolutely perfect for me right now. Really creamy. I love how the shells really capture the sauce. I'll give you a little close in. So we squeeze this, all that gooey cheese comes out. That's why I like to use shells. And then as far as taste goes, there's this really nice spiciness that the Harissa paste brings. It's not overpowering at all. It just really kind of sits in your mouth, but I don't need milk, I don't need water or anything. And it's really because all that cheese is in there. The smoked cheddar really comes through. We get this nice smoky kind of aftertone. And then the bacon Serrano breadcrumb is really nice too. You can actually really distinctly taste each component of this mac and cheese, and that's really why I like it. There's a lot of flavors and different things going on, but it tastes really, really good. You can get each component, and really all of them work together very well. All right, that is going to wrap it up for me, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you have any ideas on videos or different recipes you want me to try, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I will catch you in the next one.